Today we're going to continue on with our series of picking apart particular radio station formats, the major ones in the major cities. And today we're going to be doing this format right here. Everything you ever want to know about this, that's what's going to be in this one. The amount of currents that they play, the gold that they play, the recurrence, all of that type of stuff. We're going to be going through it and talking about it. So let's get to it. Hey Buckaroos, welcome back to Music Com Academy. Today, once again, we're going through formats, and this format is what we're going to be doing today. And so if you want to know about this one and how we compare, because I will compare this particular format to the other formats that we've done right at around the end of the lesson, okay? So like, we started out with AC as the first one, so you'd see AC, here's the recurrence they play, here's the universe of songs that they play, here's the gold, here's the recurrence, and then underneath that will be another format and what that format does. And then underneath that, another format and what that one does. So you can see as the weeks go on, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10 or 11 of particular formats, and you can really see, well, geez, if you're going to build one of these, this is kind of the ballpark that you need to be in. Okay, as you can see, this week's format is going to be urban, and there's not a lot of urban radio stations in the top 12 markets. I was sort of surprised at that. I hadn't really looked in years and years, because, I remember when I used to be doing radio full-time, particularly in the major markets, there was always 1 or 2 urban stations battling them out. But urban AC is basically taken urban stations pretty much out of the picture. And we're going to do urban AC as we go through formats and these numbers next week. And if you're new to seeing this, if this is your first one, we've already done 2 of these. We've started out with AC, then we went to CHR, which was last week. This is urban this week, urban AC will be next week, and as we continue to keep going through every single music format really that exists, that matters in the radio spectrum, and see what they do. And again, on the next page, as we start to fill it in format by format, you can really see the differences in how music is handled format by format. It's quite glaring actually as we go forward. Now, so urban, let's just start over here with overall plays. Not all that much different other than this particular station. Now you're probably wondering, what are these X's? Well, these X's, I just thought I'd maybe start to point some things out a little bit here. Again, there's only 4 stations, but these 2 do the best in the ratings. This one in particular, this particular station here, this is a incredibly strong radio station. This one is pretty decent, the rest are kind of okay, but anyway, this is what they do. So roughly 2,400 plays, 21, 24, 18, 19, somewhere in there. Average is roughly 2,200 plays of songs. When you get into unique titles, things are, there's a pretty big wide berth here. You're running roughly 700 down to kind of 275, 300, somewhere in that realm. And again, the average is 448. When you get over into current titles, definitely a jump, from one section to another. These are low amount of titles, in a week. This is, again, 7 days, okay? So this station played 44 different current titles. This one played 53. These 2 are in the 140s and 127 range. Again, this station with the 127 and the opposite with 53, they're the ones that have the better ratings. Now, the ratings may not be because of what this station does. It may be because what all the other radio stations in the market do or don't do. See, like in this particular station's instance, which is a incredibly strong station, it may be that the urban ACs in this particular market, they're not all that good. So, or heritage, that's another one. This particular station has a long heritage, as do a couple of the others. So again, difficult to tell. I'm just telling you what they do as opposed to, what's causing stuff. Although obviously this has ramifications, what they do and what they play. Let's move over to recurrence. Recurrence, again, they're not all that close. This one is 90 recurrence. This one only has 17. 48, 65. The average is 55, somewhere kind of in the middle of, the 55. Over to gold titles, again, Most are sort of in the same range, 260 to 175, 267. These two are pretty close. This one is definitely less. They're playing less gold titles, but they're spinning them, they're whacking them pretty good. And this one's got 500 gold titles, which is, 3 times this one. Average of amount of gold titles, roughly 300. So just in general, when you step back and look at these, you go, okay, they're heavy currents. They're playing a lot of currents in a week. 53 is not low, that's for sure. They're playing a lot of currents, a lot of recurrents, other than this one particular station, and not a huge amount of gold in general. So they're kind of like top 40 for a black audience, sort of urban CHRs, and they're into, leaning that way into black music, hip hop and that kind of stuff, okay? And the years, they bounce around pretty good too. The average is 218, one's down to 214, the other's 217, the other two are 220. Any kind of a ramifications that you can sort of judge from this? Next week I'm going to do urban AC, and there's a lot more stations for urban AC than there is urban. And, when you look on the ratings of any of these markets, they're way stronger than the urban stations, generally, other than this one, other than this particular one right here, which has got the 53 currents. But I sort of look at this and I wonder, trying to be analytical of something that, you're just looking at numbers. Again, there could be 100 other different things that make these stations' ratings come out the way they do. I wonder if the audience for current black music that is not feeling like AC, that's not so maybe modern, because a lot of the AC music, urban AC music, it's not super modern-y. There's more like songs there. There's more instrumentation. It's, sort of back when there's actually musicianship and singing versus rapping or hip-hop, or, it's hard to describe the differences in the music. Hopefully you know what I'm sort of getting at. But clearly, when you look at urban AC and you look at urban and you go, this is clearly a black audience for these two types of formats, they're going for the urban AC way more than the urban, which is, kind of what's been going on with the non-black radio stations, CHR versus AC. Same dynamic. Now, it could be the age, that could be that too. Black listeners that are younger, they might have bailed out and they're on the internet too, and they could care less about radio stations. Again, could be 100 different things that's causing this, but that's certainly one of the things that I wonder, is this format dwindling? Is it because there's less audience that are younger that wants current stuff, or is the current stuff not all that good? Is it not as strong as people assume it to be? Now let's get rid of this page and we'll move to the next one, which is going to be the running totals. We started out with AC, then we went to CHR, then we went to AAA. This was the only AAA station, so I just didn't do a lesson on it. I just added it in, and now we're at urban. As you can see, urban AC, and the other formats are still to come. But for, when you look at the overall plays, okay, music-wise, it's not that much different than, than the other formats other than this AAA. Let's just take this AAA because it's so odd. Let's just take this out of our thinking for the time being. And you look at unique titles, okay, it's kind of like an AC, 434, 449, pretty close, a CHR. So if you wanted to compare urban, which is definitely a very current-based black radio station, that kind of like a black CHR, if you will, not a rhythm CHR, but a black CHR. If we kind of think of it in those terms, it's playing twice the amount of titles as a white CHR. But the plays are less, 935 to 1283, and the current titles are way more, like another 80% more, 57 to 93. That's a lot of current titles to jump up. The recurrence, same thing. There's more recurrence than a white CHR. And when you look at the gold titles, there are 3 times as many gold, closer to the AC. So they're somewhere in between a CHR and an AC when you just look at the numbers. When you look at the average year, CHR 219, average year 218. For an urban station, again, pretty darn close. But there's not very many of them anymore, and they don't really have strong ratings like they used to have. Urban AC has taken that crown Is it the music itself? Is it just not as strong as it used to be? Or again, there's less young audience. Those are big, big questions that I can't answer. But for urban, take a look at this page, stop the page if you want to kind of really look at these. And, as we fill these in, I can guarantee you over the ensuing weeks, these are going to be eye-openers to you, as they certainly were to me, because, I've done all the math on all of these, so I know what these numbers are going to look like. And, they're shocking. I've never done any comparison like this ever. It's the first time, and it's like, whoa, this is different. Hope you liked that. Hope you got something out of it. I think the comparisons of formats start to become pretty interesting. The more we keep adding on to, the more you can really see the differences. So if you like these, subscribe to the channel. We're over 700 PDs worldwide, 700 radio programmers watching these lessons. It's truly amazing to me, but cool, very cool. And if you like any one of the lessons, hit the like button and certainly hit that bell, because every time I put up a new lesson, you're going to get notified that there's a new lesson. So until there is a next lesson, see ya!